Hi, I'm Jason Nichols, and I'm on the left.
And I'm Vince Colonnese, and I'm on the right. And if we can't find common ground in this world today,
then we're all just travelers.
Passing each other in an international airport.
In this great American experiment,
we'll be relegated to the trash bin of history.
So let's come together.
To debate without yelling. And let's save this nation.
Two Broke Dudes and Whitney Cummings. Next on Vince and Jason Save the Nation. Vince and Jason Save the Nation is brought to you by Goldco.
To all of our listeners with an IRA, a 401k, or other retirement savings, have you seen the headlines today? Our federal debt has now reached over $30 trillion. What the federal government is not saying is that the Fed is running out of ways to fight our growing debt bomb. Inflation and tax hikes may be their only way out. We all dodged a bullet when Senator Joe Manchin announced that he wouldn't support the Democrats' crazy Build Back Better plan. But the truth is, the Democrats may not give up so easily. That is not good news for hardworking American taxpayers. Whatever the Democrats do in 2022 may mean even more and higher inflation. The more the dollar comes under attack, the more physical gold and silver could protect your money. So if you have over $50,000 or more in your retirement savings, your money could be at risk. Learn how you can protect your life savings with physical gold and silver. Call 855-948-1605 to receive your wealth protection kit. That's right, call 855-948-1605, and Goldco may give you $10,000 or more in free silver when you open a qualified account. That's why Goldco is the only company we recommend for gold and silver. Goldco is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, a 5-time Inc. winner, and has countless 5-star reviews. So, what are you waiting for? Call 855-948-1605. That's 855-948-1605. Call Goldco and get started today.
Hey everybody, welcome to Vince and Jason Save the Nation. Today, my colleague Vince is out, so we brought in Matthew McConaughey
All right.
to fill the space. But it doesn't matter who we have, because who we do have with us is Whitney Cummings. I'm super excited about this. Whitney, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. So this is a political show. So I want to start out with a political question. We're not going to get into the false flag, conspiracy theories that Richie, I'm sure, will bring into the conversation. But I do want to ask you a little bit about comedy. And in particular, a few years ago, there was a comedian, one of your fellow comedians who was in the Senate, and he was kicked out, or not kicked out, but he was...
Was this...
Al Franken.
Al Franken.
Yeah, so he was...
My brain just went Al Franken. Got it, yes.
But he was pressured to resign. And I'll talk to a lot of people. I don't know where you are on the political spectrum, but, I'm on the left, and a lot of people have mixed feelings about it. And I kind of wanted to see where you stood on it as a comedian and what you thought about the whole situation.
With that, I tend to not weigh in on, political stuff, because we're about to have a nuanced conversation on Twitter, and a lot of times there's no way to have nuance if you can't, dimensionalize what you're saying without people want to get so polarizing. Now, I think the Al Franken thing was funny. I think that the big problem with the left, I have problems with both sides. I feel like there's the alt-right and the alt-left, and the alt-left at this point is almost worse. But I think everyone's, gotten out of hand. But I thought it was funny. Everyone's done silly shit like that. I just think that if we keep holding people to standards that we can never live up to ourselves, we're never going to get, sane people in office. It's this whole thing of, if you took a silly photo 30 years ago, you're never going to be able to work again. No one is going to run for office anymore. No one's going to want to participate. It's only the crazy people now. It's only the weirdos. It's like Marianne Williamson is running for office because she's the only person that doesn't have a blackface Halloween costume from 20 years ago. We have to let some of this shit slide, because, comedians being silly, I don't know. I think that we all have so many so much guilt and so much shame for this like sketchy stuff we've done in our past, that when we have the opportunity to sort of castigate someone else publicly and get high on self-righteous indignation, we're going to take it. And I think it's backfiring in a major way. And I think that if you find something you're looking for, you're always going to find stuff on people. People always have made bad jokes, comedians and not comedians. And it was just like a bad joke. It was the same thing with, but if we start apologizing, that's where it gets goofy. Like that's where it starts to, we give, people the power that don't want us to, I think, cave to them. I think people are like, stop caving to us, stop apologizing. Like we just need comedians to, I think keep being fearless and stop buckling to like the 2,000 people on social media that are just like, they don't like anyone. They're not comedy fans. They're not ticket buyers. They're just like, they're doing what we used to do. Like when we would egg houses and like drive by and knock over mailboxes. Now people just send tweets. It's just, we can't take it as seriously. And I think that, watching that happen was really hard because Al Franken, he's brilliant. I think he had a really promising political career. I think comedians are kind of uniquely qualified to, do that job. A lot of it, as is like just talking to people and charming people and talking to lobbyists and sort of making public appearances. Like I think performers should be able to do that, especially the smart ones. And I just wish it had been like, yeah, I took this picture 20 years ago. I'm a comedian. It's a bad joke. Let's move on.
Okay. And so I know you've worked with Netflix.
Like, okay.
No, I feel that. The only thing that I'll say is that Al Franken had 8 accusers. Like it wasn't just the picture.
I thought you were talking about the picture.
But no, the picture, I think you're right. I think there's a lot of things going on, particularly right now. There's a case where a young dude, and I don't know a whole lot of the details, but there's a young man, and this has nothing to do with comedy, but he was murdered by his girlfriend, allegedly. But people found old tweets of him saying negative things about African-American women. And he's a black guy.
Oh, I saw that. That was rough.
And they were terrible tweets, terrible. But he was 17 at the time. And I was like,
and look, yes. And like, look, I know it's like you try to go, okay, was it a one-time thing or was it a pattern? Is it something that still so that was a lot of tweets. I feel like it was a lot. It was very specific.
It was bad.
He had a voice. Like he found his voice in those tweets.
Yeah. But he was a teenager though. He was 17.
You know what? Because look, totally. There was the girl that was, there was a Vogue teen magazine hired their first editor of color ever. Probably the first employee of color ever. And is that her name? She's incredible, super smart. She had tweeted some silly stuff when she was 17, was like Asian jokes or something. And, at a time when Stop Asian Hate just had hit. So it was, and it was the kind of thing where I was like, yeah, those are bad. We've all made mistakes. But to me, that person is uniquely qualified to run Teen Vogue because she's made the mistake and she now can go, all right, let's write about how to, keep your stuff private and never put anything in writing. And like, she should be the person that stays in that job, not the person that gets fired, because she actually knows, has had to learn in public. And those are all the things that the girls, guys reading Teen Vogue are going to need to learn about. So we have to just decide that like flawed people are interesting. Everyone's made mistakes. And if we keep using everyone's past mistakes that they probably made, honestly, if they didn't, I'm the first to come to them. But it's like, we're just going to be getting less and less qualified people. And, look, anyone that signs up to be a politician is a fucking weirdo. Might as well just say fucking on here. They're a weirdo. It's cool. They're narcissists. Of course, they're going to talk to every girl at the bar. Of course, they're going to put their hand on your lower back. They think they can be the president of the United States. You don't get one and not the other. I grew up in DC, and the type of person that runs for office is the type of person who's like, yeah, I can get all these people. I'm going to run the most powerful country in the world. Why not me? Those are not the same people that are like not going to cheat on their wives and flirt a little bit and take some crazy photos. Like,
well, that's why
I was with you. I was with you until the touching somebody unwanted. You know what I'm saying? Like touching somebody on the lower back. I'm with you on everything else. Cheating on your wife, that's between you and your wife.
But Al Franken,
shout out to my wife, by the way.
People. Like my mom actually signed the letter. It's funny you brought that up, Jason, just because my mom worked with Al Franken and was the only active employee. I don't want to get her in trouble right now, but she signed a letter supporting Al Franken because she worked with him on SNL for like 30 years. And she knew, that here's the difference. It's a difference between what is the harm that's incurred from a digital post. And if you're digging up some old tweet, how does that hurt people in the real world? Like having covered the riots and stuff like that, I see what happens when things online turn into political violence in the streets. That's bad. And people who have a big platform should be very careful of that. But when you were 17 or when you were Al Franken at age 27 in the 70s and you took a photo, like you can't assess people based on, their 17-year-old selves. I
think we have to have room for redemption. People have to be able to grow. Like this idea, we can ask you about it. There's definitely I'm going to ask you some stuff about your career. But I think if you could say, well, maybe there are things that I would have done differently, or maybe you're going to stand tall on it. But either way, we have to give you a chance to, it's not like we're going to condemn you because of what you did 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And
it's also I just think that, and look, impact is all that matters. I think that after the last couple of years with what happened with George Floyd, with the, what happened with the, massage shootings, impact is the only thing that matters these days. Every white person should be actively anti-racist. You don't just get to be not racist anymore. It's what are you doing on a daily basis to surrender the opportunity? But if your intention is, I'm not racist, I didn't mean to do anything wrong, it doesn't matter. It's about what your impact is. We're not talking about intention anymore. Those days are over. But I do think if we can see and go, okay, you know what? I've taken stupid Halloween costumes where I put my hand on someone's boob. Am I projecting onto this? Do I need this to be worse than it is just because I want to feel the self-righteous indignation of watching this person go down? Am I getting off on this person going down because by the way, as soon as you point a finger at someone else, you're pointing 3 at yourself. So why are you so mad about this? So you must have done this at some point, because otherwise I'm able to just go, okay, he was trying to be funny. It wasn't funny. Let's move on. And what are people that try to be funny? What are they? They're insecure. Okay, if you're insecure, where does that come from? You were probably hurt. None of our tools, they were insecure childhood. We either have to just set them to an island or let them be flawed. There's no in between. Yeah. I think it's interesting that you said, getting off on someone going down. I'm sorry, I had to point it out. You did say that. But we like it. Admit it.
I think you're right.
I like it. Yeah, I know.
Innuendo. But anyway, I was just making a joke.
No, it was. I meant it. But also, we used to go. We used to go watch people get hanged in the streets. We used to watch we like watching people get destroyed publicly. So I think it's just we're gonna have to take a good hard look at ourselves and go, if we want to keep this this hate orgy going forever, it's just gonna be. We're not gonna get interesting people in office. We're gonna lose our sense. No one's gonna run for office anymore.
So
it's only weirdos. Sorry, there's a delay. Go ahead. I'm going to shut up.
No, I think it's always been that way. Let me ask you, you did work with Netflix in 2019 and probably will do work with them in the future. By the way, Richie and I will send you our headshots. But I do have a question about there are a couple of comedians, particularly Monique and a few others who have said that women don't get their due and are not compensated very well by Netflix and other streaming platforms. What's your experience been? And do you think that there is a problem in the industry in terms of women being compensated for their talent?
That is it's a super complicated question. I'm going to try to not be boring about it. It's yes and no. It's I think in general, all comedians aren't compensated well until they are, Right. So it was Kevin Hart, when he started and you're at the Comedy Store, you're making $7 a day, until you get all that leverage. And then you could be making $5 million the next year, depending on sort of what happens. It is gambling. And you do have a certain value in the marketplace, So it's I get paid a ton more than a lot of guys, but a couple guys get paid way more than me. But I don't think that it's as, I think what happened with Monique was, I'm not privy to obviously all the details. She might know some stuff I don't know. She's a legend. I'm a massive fan of Monique. I don't really know. They have testing processes. They ask their I think to me, I always go, don't blame these networks, these corporate networks that are basically just people that went to school for advertising. Like, blame the people aren't coming to see women do shows. That's the thing. It's like, if you're not putting up the numbers, you don't deserve to get paid that. It was like, look, we're stock, full stop. I don't think I deserve more money just because I'm a girl, like there's sometimes that I do get opportunities that a guy probably wouldn't, if it's like a makeup campaign or something. And I'm like, okay, I'm the one that kind of got the benefit here. You've gotten it for the last 2,000 years, but I feel like that being a girl just helped me in that moment or whatever. But like, I think it all goes back and forth. It's tricky because, if it's based on someone being hot or ticket sales or, it's like comedy's fashion. It's like whoever is selling those tickets at that moment is going to have the leverage to get a certain kind of deal. Yes, there's all this other stuff where whoever your agent is, or your manager is, can pull strings to get you more money than maybe you deserve. But, I've just had to surrender to that a really long time ago. And, because I've been disrespected so much. And I, as a woman, you always have to work twice as hard to get half as much. But it's not just blaming Netflix or HBO. It's also like when, when a female comedian comes to town, are you going to see him or not? Netflix then decides how valuable you are based on the choices that everyday people make, So it's like, remember the thing with the soccer team, the girls soccer team was annoyed they didn't get paid equally. And it's like, that's fair, but are your jerseys making them $80 million? Yeah. It's not our fault. It's just people don't watch as much girls soccer. It's like saying I'm in the WNBA. Why don't you pay me as much as an NBA player? It's like, well, we can't,
Well, no one watches men's soccer either in America, but
yeah, that is true. That is true.
I can actually name some women's players. I can't name one male American soccer player. But
that's because why is that, Jason?
What was it, Lisa Swoop?
Because I don't like soccer.
It's because you like the ladies for their skills on the field. Is that why you know their names?
I'm not lusting after Megan Rapinoe. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
It's not
the hot girl's names is what you're saying. Is that what you're saying?
No,
I know you
Megan
just
Rapinoe.
Mix up Adam Rapone? Did you see that she's suing The Rock?
Who's suing The Rock? Oh, right. Yes.
That's
for the
XFL
player thing. Yeah.
She's like, see you in court. It's like, damn.
Yeah. Because she's married to Sue Bird.
Aggressive. Okay, So the answer is yes and no. A lot of unfair shit happens in comedy, and it's like, we don't have unions, we don't have a human resources department. There's a lot of really great things about it, but your comedy is consistently humbling. No matter how many times you prove yourself, you're gonna get, humbled. You're gonna get disrespected by the new people at whatever network that don't know you. And then you'll get overpaid sometimes, and then you'll get wildly underpaid other times,
I did want to ask you, Whitney, about like kind of the business aspect of comedy and where it's going, because I know in media, basically like I went to digital realizing cable news was dying and, I wanted to build something online. But now the bottlenecks, like you were talking about Netflix and the streaming services, but for news, it's like YouTube, Facebook, the places where you can monetize content in the, online. Are you finding that it's those bottlenecks, those big corporate entities that have kind of replaced the old institutions online? Is it difficult to like play that game? I know you climbed that ladder successfully, but do you think there's an opportunity for like younger people, younger comedians who are coming up now, like to use, Patreon or like a subscription service or Substack or something like that to gain is that a new opportunity for?
I think so. Yeah. I think so. There's just so much out there. I think that, there's these pillars that for comedians really help them, if Rogan believes in someone, like Crystal and Sager, I found out, because you also don't know, it's like, we're like, I don't trust the media. And then you're starting following some random person on Reddit. You're like, why do I trust this person? So for me, the main sources of my news, I do Crystal and Sager, who left mainstream news, and they're just on YouTube. Yeah, Sager lives in DC. We've tried to meet a couple times. I'm such a fan of them. Jessica Yellen, who was at ABC and CNN, and then she left, and she does like an Instagram sort of like news, straight to camera thing. I sometimes will go to the Daily, New York Times, if I'm just in the car driving, but the answer is yes. It's just that there is a little bit of this. Everyone thinks that they're a journalist now. So are you selling journalism?
Exactly.
Are you selling your opinion on what's going on? I think most people just want the opinion at this point. I remember, think about it. When we had newspapers, when I was growing up in DC, Washington Post comes in, I go straight to the op-ed. I just want to know the opinion. I want the gossip. I want the snitchy, like hot take, so I think that most people want biased news, and that's all that's available for the most part in mainstream. And, it's a breath of fresh air to hear like Crystal and Sager. Bridget Fetisi is genius. She does a podcast called Dumpster Fire where she does the news. It's like you end up learning, but also laughing. I think people are at a time where not only do they not trust mainstream news, but they also they want to hear it from their friend. I mean, Tim Dillon, is a friend of mine. He's brilliant. I mean, yeah. And Joe Rogan, he won't even really know half the time. He'll be like, I don't really know what I'm talking about. Pull that up. We'll just pull up a news story and read it. And you're like, oh, I get to hang out with my friend while I'm kind of getting this news from my friend. Instead of like, this is what happened where we tune out. I think you can get the news by, I just go to Twitter. I go to what's trending in the algorithm. I'll like go on Reddit for a bit, but I think you have to actively sort of play defense on being conned and, gaslit and brainwashed. It's nicer, I think, to have it filtered through someone that you trust who is proven to be no bullshit. And I think that's what we're moving towards. It's like, I'm going to you because I know you're going to get me from the right. It's like your smartest friend is giving you the news who also has a smart opinion on it. I think it's what we're moving towards. Because if you give an opinion, people know, okay, this must not be biased. You know what I mean? Whereas I think now if people are, if news anchors are too straight, people are like, well, why? What did Disney? They're robots. What do they stand to gain? This is sponsored by Pfizer. And, it's like people are too smart now.
Very much a party-like atmosphere over here, and the flaming buildings are behind them.
Yeah. But I think people really, they want the truth from someone that they trust. And then they also want the take. Like, Ben Shapiro, I don't agree with him on everything, most things, but I listen to his podcast sometimes because he just says it in the most concise, distilled way, but then we'll throw in little like jokes. It's like he's like Alex P. Keaton, it's like he's your
that's actually he's your a good brother. Comparison.
Do you know what I mean?
I never thought of that.
I don't agree with any, like a lot of that he's saying, but I'm learning what my point of view is because I disagree with him a lot. So it's like sometimes I'll listen to people I don't agree with, but it's just whoever's smart and has done their research and that I trust, whether I am into their opinion or not. I think
the only thing is I'll push back on that a little bit because I think when we do that and what that's, now that we don't have like journalists who go, like, we don't know, Burkina Faso is a narco state or, dictatorships and wars going on around. We're just hearing people argue about Will Smith getting slapped, or Will Smith slapping somebody or, those kinds of things. And it's filtered through one person's worldview and you oftentimes don't get a broader view. Sometimes with the journalism, this is why I love international news, is because they tell me about stuff that I would not know because for weeks I'm talking about somebody getting slapped.
You're talking about like the current thing, Jason, right? Like basically the fact that like, regardless of where you come on the political spectrum, like these individual commentators on Twitter are all talking about the same topic. Is that effectively what you're saying?
Yeah. And I think it's just also like a lot of people peddle in outrage. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I just want the facts of what happened. I don't want to hear, Ben Shapiro. I think Alex P. Keaton was a perfect way of describing him. But like, sometimes I don't want your filter.
You roll your eyes. You're like, here he goes.
Yeah, with the squeaky voice and everything. But I will say this for Ben Shapiro, and it's something I'm not even allowed. A Daily Caller, we need to figure out. What he's done with the Daily Wire is brilliant. Yeah. You know what I mean? And the way he's grown that business and that business model, and now they're going into children's films, into, other,
pop so far they
things.
All suck though.
I'm sure they all suck. He's not a creator.
By the way, I'm not defending his repertoire of cinema, but most movies suck, whether they're his or not. Most movies. Yeah. But I also think it's on us. Like honestly, if someone is not informed, I don't fuck with you. It's your job to get information. There's no excuse. It's out there. You saw what happened over the pandemic. We had plenty of time to regroup. You had plenty of time to figure out who to follow. Make sure that you're being exposed to check your work. Like, we're just these brats are like, feed me the news. It's like, you have to actively ask questions, challenge yourself, listen to a lot of different people, follow a lot of different people. There's just no excuse anymore. There's people like you guys. Like, I mean, it's just, there's too many podcasts out there. There's too many smart people out there. And we only focus on the idiots. People, well, this isn't right. And this isn't right. Well, what are you doing on a daily basis to educate yourself? Right. And I think that it's on us to sort of do that. And I just, maybe I'm just too utopian and it's naive, but like, when people are just like in their brainwash, we actively participate in being conned. If someone is stupid and they think that I'm eating baby blood to stay young, or if someone thinks that the Disney castles are made of dicks, like, that's a choice you have made, dude. Like, I do not believe that like there was no other information to contradict that information. You know what I mean?
But that's the thing, though. When you start following
you're not
people,
eating baby blood. You're not on the record.
I mean, your skin looks amazing. That usually comes from baby blood.
It does look incredible.
What are you doing then?
Yeah, honestly, that's a baby blood regimen right there.
I figured that had to be baby blood.
Trust me, if it worked, I'd do it. I mean, don't worry. Yeah. But like, no, I'm just, I think it's just sweat. But yeah, so I think to me, we're in this place where smart people, all we do is talk about the stupid people that are long gone anyway, and I think that when smart people just spend all their time being like, well, these idiots and these QAnons, it's just like, let's just get, it's like we're letting the inmates run the asylum. Like, those are too far gone. There's nothing you can do. Before the podcasts and fake news and all this stuff, there were still idiots doing dumb shit. Like, it just looked a little bit different. And I think that, societies really start to collapse when the adults start to just completely obsess over the behavior of the kids. And I think that,
exactly.
I tour all around the country. I just did 50 cities. I'm about to come back. I usually shoot my specials in DC, but I'm going to be at Capital One Hall. I haven't been there yet, out in Tyson's, and I'll be. Really, and cool. I've done every city. People are cool. I promise you. Like, I'm doing 5,000 seats a night. People are what we're seeing on the internet is such it is. I know, whatever. No big deal. No, but the ones that we see on the internet, we're so dysmorphic about how most humans are. I promise you, I go to all the red states, all the blue. Most people are reasonable. They just want to like pay their bills and move through life. They don't want to fight you. They don't want to scream at you about a mask. Most people are not, don't think the Disney castles are dicks. It's just amplified so much, and we're wired. That's our big challenge, I think, moving forward as a species. We're wired to hold on to things 5 times more strongly in our hippocampus if it's paired with adrenaline, which is when you see like a bad take or you go like, you miss all the good takes. When you see one, Whitney, I hate you. I miss the love you. I miss the 2 pages of I love you. You're the best. I only think about that one. Facts. So we're also biased, I think. And I think we all need, it's a tricky thing. I think everyone's just has so much anger. It's so fun and feels so good to like point out problems, but a lot of things are also going right. And let's just keep our eye on the prize. Like, there's still like, it's like, let's drop the Disney dicks and focus on police reform. Like, let's just stay focused on like one thing instead of the 5 million we can't solve. That's how my brain works.
I do want to stir the pot a bit and ask a question actually that kind of relates to that. So like, let's use the example of like the defund the police movement, or let's say like the Covington kids. Or let's say
I'm not super educated about this. So if I don't have an answer, don't be surprised.
Let's, instead of defund the police, let's just go with Hunter Biden's laptop, because that's super cut and dry. It's easy to, everybody knows, what kind of crazy stuff is on there. What I know is there was stuff on it, and then the New York Times wouldn't release the information about it. Is that what happened? Well, basically the social media companies, like that, one of those bottlenecks that we were talking about earlier, they censored the New York Post's posts about it, citing it as, Russian disinformation. At the time, like 50 intelligence analysts signed an open letter saying that it was Russian disinformation.
Do you think that all those 50 ones were told to say that? Or do you think?
I think that they were intentionally trying to colluded, which is like first, like, okay, let's posit, for example, that the Russians did hack Hunter Biden's laptop and then release that to the internet. What they're muddying there is the fact that, what's on that laptop is still, what's on that laptop, which is his laptop.
And what was it? I'm sorry, I don't even know.
So it was that's the dick pics and like.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad.
It's pictures of him with prostitutes. Who cares?
Why is that bad? Why is that bad? Hold on. All I hear is that he supports sex
that's what everyone's
workers.
focused on.
Yeah.
What's bad about it is that they're
so
like,
Whitney, don't put it out there that you like dick pics, because I think you're.
But
also, I know. But hold on.
Your inbox is going to get crazy.
Let me just rewind a second. I get so many dick pics. Please bring it up. I love looking at the backgrounds of guys' bathrooms. Is my favorite thing. Okay, so let me just ask you a bigger question then. Who gives a shit? Am I allowed to curse on here?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You're good.
Okay, who cares what's on his laptop? He's not running for office.
Well, he's arranging
dad's running
deals.
for office.
He's arranging business deals in China, flying on Air Force Two while his dad is vice president, and he's getting a $1.3 billion pledge to his fund, of which he's a 10% stakeholder. And he's saying, kick a certain percentage back to the big guy. So like that's in the emails. Like all you have to do to verify.
I'm not even a big Biden. I don't care. Like I'm so far gone. It's at this point, it's like choose your poison. You're like, who's the least like who's going to survive the term is how we vote now. But also like, is this news? Is this new information that the Chinese government owns the American government? Like this.
Well, I think that's the problem is the media.
This is not new information. But it's also the kind of thing that's like, what it's not, is it something that's actionable to change? Like, that's my thing. It's like being in bed with the Chinese government. Like that's not something people can just cancel. You can't be like, screw China. And they're like, okay, no, I'm going to pull out of China. Like it's, we are so inextricably linked with China. We couldn't function. I mean,
well, where I wanted to start,
that's the bigger issue.
Can you imagine if that was Donald Trump's son? And imagine how it would be treated by the greater institutional media. And I'm not trying to do a whataboutism here. I'm just saying
it sounds like a whatabout.
Well, I'm saying that what I see a very
hold on.
Go ahead.
I mean, I see what you're doing. I see why this argument works no, it's like at like 2 a.m. This is a decent argument after like 9 whiskey. Like and we can't come. And look, again, I don't really talk about my political affiliation. I also feel like it changes every day because every time I settle on stream and goes the other direction, I have no idea. Most liberals are embarrassing, most Republicans are embarrassing, but I don't understand. I don't see any point in comparing anything to Donald Trump's anyone. Like, it's to go, Donald Trump did incredibly illegal stuff too. You're like, why isn't this question?
No,
Donald Trump didn't. Hold on. But I'm just saying, why isn't this conversation? Hey, Donald Trump's daughter and kids have done a ton of illegal things. What's up with presidents' kids doing illegal things? Why do we have to?
Years.
Yeah, but why aren't you saying like Kushner also? Is it Kushner? I don't know. What's his name? The son?
Kushner. Well, Kushner is his
John. What's Trump's son's name? What's Trump's son's name? Hold on.
Don Jr.?
Don Jr. Okay, Don Jr.
Yeah, Don Jr.
Has his laptop been leaked? I don't know. I'm sure they have equally terrible stuff on each other's laptop. I think the bigger question there wouldn't be like the media is treating Biden's kid differently. I just think Biden's kid wasn't famous. Nobody cared. Hold on. Nobody cared. I don't think it got, I think it's the same thing with the Monique. People weren't clicking on it. No one cared.
Yeah. No, I think it would be pretty funny.
It was a boring story.
Right. I think it would be pretty funny if we could compare Don Jr.'s dick pics to Hunter Biden.
Hunter Biden has a huge Johnson.
No one cares about Hunter Biden. No one cares. Yeah. That article,
Richie does, apparently.
No, look, I know. All I'm saying, I'm making a very simple point, which is that the role of the media in Washington, D.C. is to hold the executive branch, hold their feet to the fire when necessary. And with respect
since when? I grew up in DC. I've never remember that happening.
I mean,
I don't think that's the media's job.
What they should be doing, though.
Maybe
they did it for 4 years with Trump. They did do it 4 years
because it was getting very good ratings. I mean, I don't think that they would have done that had nobody been clicking on it. Trump was an absolute genius with dominating the news. They could not get enough of him. It was a sick symbiotic relationship where it was like, I mean, these quote unquote liberal outlets, all they did is cover Trump, and they were giving him billions of dollars of free press, and the press helped him. So it was like this sick thing where they're like, we're coming after you, but like they also are smart enough to know they were helping him. So it's just sort of this tricky. I just think that when we act like the media makes any choice that's not completely click driven, we are going to drive ourselves crazy. If that Hunter Biden thing had gotten as many clicks as anything about Trump, I think it would have been bigger.
But isn't Hunter Biden?
They're not shutting down stories that are going to make them a bunch of money.
Right.
But Hunter Biden, that story is salacious. There's foreign business deals. There's spies. There's prostitutes. My point is that story.
But no
was
one
put
cares.
Down
after Trump
they said get rid of Trump. So they said
I agree.
We don't want Hunter Biden. Talk about Hunter Biden.
I'm with you. I'm with you. But do you really think that people? I'm just a thought experiment. You're probably right. But I do not believe that the media is going to get less clicks on something because they want Biden. The media, everyone wanted Trump to stay for another 4 years.
I don't know.
If you worked
That's my point.
If you work at CNN, you're like, I'm liberal. You want Trump for the next 4 years because that's the only way you're.
No, they hate him though. I think
Joe's going to stay in business. You know, Biden is bad television. He's bad.
Totally.
He doesn't get clicks. He does. No one cares. I think they put it out. They put out the Hunter Biden laptop. Trump was so fucking entertaining that by the time Biden's laptop came around, we're like, okay, is he like talking about Rosie McDonald's pussy? What's her name? Whatever. Like no one, I just don't think anyone clicked on it. I think if enough people clicked on it, unless you're telling me that Biden and China gave the New York Times $100 million to not run that story. I know that stuff happens all the time, but I think now
it's called a catch and kill, which is what Trump, and the National Enquirer did with the whole thing with the stripper, not the stripper. What is she like?
I think if people care, they care. Oh, Stormy Daniels. I mean,
I didn't care about that issue. Yeah. To be honest with you, like that.
No one cared. We've gone numb. If you tell me a China laptop, a business deal, I'm just like, I'm not clicking on it. It's a lot of words. And if the people that I follow are interested, if you guys are talking about it, if Rogan's talking about it, like I'm probably, and goes, I think that it's the job of the news person now, the Crystal and the Sager, you guys, the Rogan, to go, hey, all this stuff happened this week. This is actually worth talking about. And no one clicked on it because it seemed boring, but like this, it's crazy. We're not talking about this more. But I also like, I don't know. I don't need my president. Like I just, of all of our presidents are doing deals in China. I mean, no one runs to be the president of the United States they're all sketchy. It's just like, who's the least sketchy? And don't go through any of their laptops. Let's just see if we can get through this 4 years, get some stuff done and stop being distracted because nothing's actually getting done. And I worry that the people that complain the most about like wanting actual things to get done, we're obsessing over like their personal lives and stuff that just has nothing to do with sort of the average American. And I don't think that it's new that maybe it's growing up in DC. I just expect politicians to be corrupt. Like I haven't made my bar higher for that. And maybe that's sad, but I think if we were to not allow people to be in government because they've done selfish criminal things, we would.
I think selfish criminal. My thing is this: I want a president who's not a war criminal. So we have good luck. Of course, people like Nixon who were war criminals, but all we talk about is Watergate, which I think was pretty mild in comparison to a lot of the crimes he committed. Then we had
but also Iran I gotta be Contra.
Go ahead.
I'm the wrong person to talk to about this. First of all, I'm a comedian. And second, I'm like, I'm not as educated as you guys on this, but I'm always going to go the sort of, I'm always going to go the hot take direction, which is like going to war. If we have a president, if we have a war, I do want the person that could be a criminal if they needed to be. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to pussy it on.
Whitney, I was with you.
Here's what I'll say. I'm just saying, you don't want a president in office who, when, we have some very real, like, cartoon villains in the world right now, in the Chinese government and in Russia, obviously, have you seen? I don't want some guy, I don't want to be the least, brave country. You got to have someone who's a little crazy. Like, here's the thing. It's like with Putin and China, they're so crazy and so barbaric. It's a different set of rules now. It's a difference. If we keep going, like, we're going to just do this fair and we're just going to follow the rules, like the game changed, like the rules might need to change. I'm not saying, I'm not like a Nixon fan. I grew up like down the street from Watergate. I still couldn't tell you exactly what it is, but there's times when you're like, I hope there's someone in office who's willing to do something a little crazy. If Putin decides.
Yeah,
He's gonna.
but Whitney, here's the problem with that. Number one, for example, we were in Iraq because somebody, W wanted to act like he had big balls that were dragging on the floor. And maybe had he taken a second to think about that, we wouldn't have had a 20-year war that went nowhere. It costed us, trillions of dollars and a lot of lives. And of course, hundreds of thousands of Iraqis. So the tough guy thing.
But war is a business.
Right.
I see. Right. I am the worst person to talk to. I'm like, yeah, but a lot of people did make a lot of money off that war. It just wasn't our team. It wasn't the team we wanted to win. And look, I'm growing up in DC. I know I'm super desensitized, but I do feel like you are the two exact people that need to be buckling down right now to run for office. Like it's
Richie?
that simple.
Oh Lord!
Yeah.
I don't think I could. I don't think I'd make it to the background check.
People like you need to run for. I'm serious because it's like all I do is sitting around. This frustrates me. Getting on a podcast with two really smart people that know their shit that aren't running for office. I'm like,
I got my weed plants growing right there, so I don't think that's gonna fly.
No, that's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, nobody cares about that, Richie.
Hey, it's legal in DC,
and everybody knows that's Reggie.
I inhale.
You got dirt over there. That ain't no.
But it's like people like reasonable, smart people like you guys have to run for office. Like use this platform. It's going to build. It's going to keep growing. You're smart. Like that's the next natural thing because it's getting more and more of a clown car every day.
To all of our listeners with an IRA, a 401k, or other retirement savings, have you seen the headlines today? Our federal debt has now reached over $30 trillion. What the federal government is not saying is that the Fed is running out of ways to fight our growing debt bomb. Inflation and tax hikes may be their only way out. We all dodged a bullet when Senator Joe Manchin announced that he wouldn't support the Democrats' crazy Build Back Better plan. But the truth is, the Democrats may not give up so easily. That is not good news for hardworking American taxpayers. Whatever the Democrats do in 2022 may mean even more and higher inflation. The more the dollar comes under attack, the more physical gold and silver could protect your money. So if you have over $50,000 or more in your retirement savings, your money could be at risk. Learn how you can protect your life savings with physical gold and silver. Call 855-948-1605 to receive your wealth protection kit. That's right, call 855-948-1605, and Goldco may give you $10,000 or more in free silver when you open a qualified account. That's why Goldco is the only company we recommend for gold and silver. Goldco is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, a 5-time Inc. winner, and has countless 5-star reviews. So, what are you waiting for? Call 855-948-1605. That's 855-948-1605. Call Goldco and get started today.
I do agree with what you're saying, Whitney, is like the same thing that we have with media, which is just like a real person who you know, who you can trust. We don't have that in office. And Jason might say that he prefers like a Barack Obama who says like, folks, I'm going to give you a boat. And then he's actually droning people and like blowing up weddings behind the scenes, but he looks real good.
Okay. Let me just hold on. I do have to stop you there. I do have to stop. Hold on. I'm, by the way, I will go either direction. My dad always told me measure of intelligence is you can defend anyone. The only thing, I do not believe that someone walked into the room and was like, hey, Brock, the wedding, specifically get the wedding. He didn't know he bombed it. It's not, I'm not saying it's great. I'm just saying this thing where we decide we don't like someone and it goes from like, oh, that missile that was 900 phone calls removed from Barack Obama happened to hit a wedding. And we're like, he bombed a wedding. Like, I don't think
those ISIS guys who like sprung up and got an entire caliphate and like conquered half the Middle East while he was president. It was no big deal.
No, here's the thing. I got to be honest with you. Okay, that's another conversation for another time because because everyone's obsession with Barack Obama having to have solved every problem that the many presidents before him caused. No one in that situation. What he inherited such a big, giant mess. I'm not saying he's perfect. No one's perfect. He inherited such a mess. I don't think there was any way. And then if he if he did less, people would say he was a pussy and da-da-da. Like, I just think that
I think that's a very fair contention. Very fair.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. I think, by the way, we have notes on every president. It's a thankless job. It's a thankless job.
Yeah.
But here's what I will say. I think on some level, what he did for healing a tiny corner of the scars of this country, we cannot overstate how I think bad things would be right now had we never had a president.
Who would you pick?
I slept with a lot of white women in 2009. No, that was a joke.
Wait,
but yeah,
who would you pick?
Yeah, who would you pick? Like
as a nominee.
Is there anybody that you know of, like in just anywhere in media or anywhere that you would think would be, like you mentioned Marianne Williamson, she ran last time.
You know who I'm really, whatever. I'm sure you can look up who I voted for in the past. But I actually liked that. I like Tammy Duckworth.
I hope you can't look that up. Yeah.
I think you can. And then who was? Yeah, she was a vet. I think that someone having experience in war, I think, is important. And I know people really didn't like her, but who was the girl that was
Tulsi? What about Tulsi? She's also a vet.
Tulsi. I like Tulsi. Yeah. I like her. Honestly, there was so much weird internalized sexism with her. People were just like, and then if you really just heard her talk and people were like, she's a Russian bot. I'm like, okay, that crazy. Doesn't feel like it's true. And listening to her, she just seemed very like, she was in the military. She's been through a divorce. She just was smart, knew her shit. She says, I don't know when she doesn't know something.
Yeah.
She would just be like, oh, I don't know. I don't know a lot about that. Like I liked her because she didn't seem like she was full of shit. So even if I didn't agree with her, I at least believed that that's what she believed, instead of just saying something to try
She's submarine Kamala. Remember when she submarine Kamala in the debates? Like that was a viral.
I forgot about that.
I don't
love that. But look,
don't you think there's no room for
Tammy Duckworth is we know that Tammy Duckworth, of course, she got hit with a grenade, launcher or something, and that's why she's disabled right now. She seems like on paper an incredible person, but like when I've actually heard her speak, she does not have the charisma. You know what I mean? Like on paper, she had a baby. She's missing both her legs. She had a baby while she was in office. Like all these things that make her sound amazing. But then when you see her, the charisma is just so lacking.
Well, that's our problem is that I know. Well, we've only hired people with charisma for a while, and it's not going so well. So, all right, I love you guys. I have to go. I'm so sorry. I hope you guys come to the show so we can meet in person.
We're there.
Absolutely. Send us some tips.
I love you guys.
Well, that was our conversation with Whitney Cummings, the creator of Two Broke Girls and a lot of other shows. She had her own show, Whitney. She's got another show coming out on Fox called The Accused. A lot of great things coming from her. Go see her show and always click in,
We're going to be there. We're going.
We're going to be there. So
Jason's
you can
buying all the beers. You're designated driving. It's good, right?
And Richie's gonna bring that dirt weed he's got up there. If you're looking for a headache.
Are you talking about my beard? Don't make fun of my beard like that.
All right, thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, and check us out for the next episode. We're always trying to bring you the best guests. Peace.
Get out of here, look.